Well, hello and welcome back. So I have my sketch done and now I am going to apply some paint. So I've worked out the colours that I will possibly want to use here. I've got yellow ochre in this, in some of these areas here, and some sap green, French ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, scarlet lake. Kyanite Genuine is a lovely Daniel Smith colour that I use quite a lot for the water. It just gives a lovely shimmer to the water. A transparent yellow for these brighter greens. A lunar black for the darks. Burnt sienna, those two mixed are quite good for darks. So I'll just get on to this now and start painting. So I'll squeeze out some water from my water brush and just loosely put in some water without covering the whole lot of the paper because there are some clouds there. And I think I'm going to go with some phthalo watered down. Got quite a bright sky, so that's quite good. But phthalo blue is a very, very strong colour. You don't want to be coming in too strongly, so you want to water out the mix quite a bit. Otherwise you could have a very, very strong sky, which I don't particularly want too strong. Start light and add if you feel it needs more. You might just have a little more. Over here. So I've been getting a few questions about why do I like to paint in a sketchbook, and the reason is that I was doing some overseas tours, and when I first started I thought, okay, I'll get everyone to bring an easel and a little tripod seat, and oh yes, we'll go with, you know, lots of paints and watercolour pencils and what have you. And I quickly realised from that first tour that it's way too much stuff to have to take for me personally. I know that, you know, lots of artists will do tours with all kinds of paints and mediums, and that's fine, but for me it just didn't work because I found it was just too much to take, particularly overseas. So I looked for different ways to get down my impressions of a place where I might be visiting. And I thought, well, okay, I really want to, you know, scale down all of these materials. So this is where I found sketchbooking to be great because all I need is such a simple pack to take. I can take it in a crossbody bag. It's not heavy because, you know, when you're touring, particularly in European countries, there's lots of walking uphill to see those beautiful old medieval towns, and they're so great to sketch, who wouldn't want to. So I've honed it right down. You know, I was still doing my love of art in those countries, but I've honed the materials list right down to suit what I want to do. And I'm finding it's becoming quite popular. So, And since then, you know, I've found groups of, you know, I didn't even know this existed, you know, urban sketchers groups, and I'm in an urban sketcher local group, which is a lot of fun. Nice to be with like-minded people. And actually, when I was in Greece, I was sketching up in the Kora on Naxos, the island of Naxos, and some people came up to me from Strasbourg who are in a sketching group. So, you know, we had a lovely chat. I got to meet some people that I never probably would have had a chance to meet before, just by chance. And it really is just a lovely thing to do. It's very sociable. I'll go with some lighter. There's a patch of bright green grass here, and that is just in transparent yellow. Yeah, so that's my story on the reason why I decided to paint in sketchbooks, particularly when I'm on the go. I can be doing this anywhere, locally or anywhere around the world. And it was all about, for me, just getting my impression down of where I am, who I'm with, what I'm doing, fabulous places that we visit. And it's real bucket list stuff, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. Okay, so I want to deepen up some of these greens in the shadows, and I like to do that while it's still wet. Yeah, that's better. So a little bit of lunar black into the green. A watery mix here. There's quite a deep line against the water line there. And you can see how quickly you can work. Now that's another thing, you know, when you're on tour, is you don't always have, you know, a whole day to sit down and do a painting. Unless you're on a tour that's a specific painting tour that has a place where you go and you set up easels and all that. And, you know, that's be nice to do as well. I'd love to do that too. But usually it's, you don't have a full day to do that because there's so many great things to see out there. Okay, so you can see how I'm bringing in some darker tone into the scene. Also, it gives a nice edge to a subject as well. So around this boathouse. Connecting shapes. So just drying off. Cleaning my brush. Oh, there's some little red buildings over here. I always love a pop of red in my work. Got some depth underneath that. We could use some sienna. Just connecting those shapes up a little. Okay. Cleaning out the brush. Right, so I'll let that dry off. You see I've got some nice little clouds in here. I put a little bit of red into the blue just as a little bit of shade underneath those clouds. So now I'll move on. Rather than, I don't want to work up against that too much because I can see in my photograph that there's it's quite a hard edge on that edge there. I could, if I wanted to really soften it, I could work up against that edge, but I think I'll let it go. There's actually, though, a nice green. It's like a shadow that comes through here. I think I'll just pop that in right now while I've got green in the brush. Okay, so some of that red I can use fairly weakened down for the roof. It's quite a bit of light on that roof, so just let that go. So, and now into the building itself, I'm starting with some French Ultra. And just bringing in a wash first. The front of the building's white, but there is a bit of shade. Okay. Now into that, just a little touch of phthalo blue, shadow. Phthalo blue is a very strong blue. Treat it with caution. It's a staining colour. Very hard to lift back out again. Okay, so while that's still wet, I want to bring in some lunar black just in the shadow. Underneath the roof line. A little bit of shadow underneath there as well. Connecting up shapes. Okay, so weakened out lunar black. A little bit of shade into there. This also is on the shaded side, so I'm just going to shade that a little. Okay. So moving on, I'm going to do a wash of yellow ochre into the shallows. Just come over those rocks. There's a little bit of yellow ochre in the rocks as well. Got some green out here in my palette. Why not just use what I've got? I'll go with some a bit more brighter green in the mix. Start light, bring in deeper tone. Okay, so this is starting to dry off now. If I was outside painting, it certainly would have dried off a lot quicker. So what I want to do is just give a wash of Kyanite Genuine to the water. I'm using my flat water brush today. These water brushes are great for working on site. You don't really need a water dipper. Just squeeze, you just fill these up in the morning before you go out, and you've got a brush of water to use. So I'm just bringing in some little waves. Some areas have a little bit more blue, so I'm just adding some French Ultra. shadow under the jetty. Okay, so using some burnt sienna, I'm just going to put in the boards of the jetty. Burnt sienna and Luna Black is great for, just wait for that to dry. Bring in some darker tone. It's always when I go to the darker tones that the painting seems to come to life. Okay. Okay, so we need to work on some of these shadows under the jetty. Let's bring a little bit of blue into that mix of dark. touch more yellow ochre in here. Bring down those shadows. Okay, so we have some of these boats here. Switching to my round brush and just putting in flicks. I could come back with a pen, redefine if I wanted to. I think that might do it for today. Thanks for watching.